Hi, it's Amelia here, the Undercover Architect. I recently got this great question from a member of the UA community. I'm just going to look past the camera and read it. So it says, we're considering buying a cream brick 1950s house in an inner Melbourne suburb that suits us. Let's face it, it's a charmless square box house with no character and not what we envisaged for ourselves. However, it is perfectly fine inside, has a lovely north-facing backyard with floor-to-ceiling windows in the lounge. My question is, how do we make it look appealing? Is render the answer? What could we do? I love this question because this is all about, how can you actually transform these older homes into something that is uniquely yours and is going to work for you and what you had envisaged for your dream home. And it's possible. You can actually make quite significant aesthetic changes to these older style homes. And when they've got good bones, like being north facing and having really nicely proportioned rooms and a good indoor outdoor connection and good sort of functional flow through the home, it's really worth having a go at keeping the house and seeing what you can do to make it more contemporary and feel more like you and your home. Render is a really good answer for changing the way that a brick home looks. A lot of people say, bricks have come back in fashion and bricks are all the new rage. But if you look at the bricks that are in fashion now, they're actually very different looking bricks to what 1950s homes were built from. That's not saying that you couldn't actually sometimes keep those brick homes in the 1950s if they've been really well built, if the brick is a nice colour, if it's built in a very clean and crisp style, which they often are because the craftsmanship was much better back in those days, because it was expected to be exposed. Then you can sometimes leave it, but I know personally with our own renovations and with renovations I've done with clients, doing rendering or bagging or even painting is an incredible way to completely change the way that a brick home will look. The other thing to then think of is, what can you add to the existing house that will change its aesthetic appearance and let that sort of style of the 1950s cream box just sort of disappear and recede into the background. And often these are things that you can add that are really kind of significant markers for the home that then draw your eye and draw people's eye to them, and the cream box almost disappears. So what am I talking about? Well, think about the front garden and the landscape. What can you do for the front path, the way that you enter onto the site and arrive into the home? Can you change the paving of the front path or the material or gravel on the front path? Can you change the landscaping itself, the plant types and the arrangement of the plant types that then actually change the way that the house looks from the street and your experience of entering the home? Can you change the design and style and materials of the front fence so that, again, that changes the way that the house looks from the street? Can you change the way that the entry porch or entry alcove feels and looks? Can you add a new roof or awning over the entry that's much more contemporary in style and will completely then transform the way that the house looks? Can you change the way the letterbox is? Can you create more of a feature style letterbox that's much more contemporary? Or even can you create an entry statement that's out on the front fence line that's almost like a portico entry with its own letterbox and street number and contemporary lighting and those types of things? Start getting an idea about what landscaping options are available to you, because they're going to be much more economical than changing the entire house itself. Okay. The other thing to look at is what you can do in terms of possibly adding things in and around the house. So I mentioned the entry itself, and can you add an entry awning? Is there an opportunity also for you to add, say, low entry walls or something that defines the pathway up to the front door? And then that could be just a little low entry wall, even like a little seat on it to sit and enjoy sort of as you arrive at the house. That is part of that experience of arriving at the home to the front door, and that is what you will take notice of and what people will take notice of and what will put your stamp on the place, so that the home itself actually just almost fades and disappears and you don't notice it as much. You can imagine if you took a cream brick house and you painted it a really subtle soft grey or something like that, you added quite a nice contemporary entry portico, you completely changed the landscaping, you added a new contemporary front fence, and you repaved all of the front entry path, how different the home would already look. So there's some ideas for you, and I hope that you found them helpful. Have a think about that. Have a look around online and see what people have done to change the way that the front of their house looks. Another thing is adding screens, and I'll pop actually an image of a brick home that we renovated ourselves, where we was a 1960s brick home. We rendered the outside of it, we painted it a dark grey, and then we added some timber screens over the face of some bedroom windows. We added a new letterbox. We did the landscaping and some new features to the front entry, and it just completely transformed the way that house looked and felt. And it was all very economical and all very cosmetic, but it did wonders to make the house look like a new contemporary home. All right, I'll see you later. Bye.